A long time ago, in a small village called Umudim, there lived a woman named Ekenma. She was kind and beautiful, with skin as smooth as clay and eyes that sparkled when she smiled. But Ekenma had one problem. She had no child. Every day, she watched other women carry babies on their backs or chase after laughing children in the village square. This made her heart very heavy. Sometimes she would cry quietly at night while her husband Obiora tried to confront her. One night, after everyone had gone to sleep, Ekema had a strange dream. In the dream, she stood in the middle of a forest. The trees whispered to her, and the ground glowed with chalk drawings. At the center was a shrine, and inside the shrine was Allah, the goddess of fertility. Allah looked powerful and kind, but also serious, and she stretched out her hand to Ekema. Come to me, Allah said in the dream. Bring me an offering, and I'll give you the child you ask for. But remember, if you promise me something, you must keep that promise. Ekema woke up shaking, but she felt hope rise in her heart. She told herself, this is my chance. If Allah wants a promise, I will give her one. I just want to hold a child in my arms. The next morning, Ekema woke up very early. She packed a basket with palm wine and kola nuts because these were sacred gifts for the gods. She tied her wrapper around her waist and walked barefoot into the forest. On her way, she passed the big baobab tree where the oldest man in the village, Papokoro, always sat. Papokoro was very old. His hair was white, his back bent, and his eyes looked cloudy, but he was very wise. Ekenma, Papokoro asked, where are you going so early? She bowed and answered, Papa, I'm going to the shrine of Allah. I want to ask her for a child. Papokoro shook his head slowly. My child. Remember, when you promise something to the gods, you must never break it. A promise is like fire. It can keep you warm, but it can also burn you. Ekema thanked him and kept walking. She was afraid, but her desire for a child was stronger than her fear. When she reached the shrine, she saw the same thing she had seen in her dream: a circle of stones, chalk markings, and the wooden statue of Allah, the goddess, with her arms open. The forest was so quiet that it felt as if even the birds were listening. Ekema placed her gift on the ground, knelt, and prayed. Great Allah, Mother of the earth, please hear me. My womb is empty and I'm very sad. If you give me a child, I promise that child will serve you forever. The air suddenly changed. The ground hummed under her knees, and the statue's eyes began to glow faintly. Then she heard Allah's voice. Ekema, your cry has reached me. I will give you the child you want. But remember, your promise is a chain that cannot be broken. When the time comes, you must give me the child. Ekema pressed her forehead to the ground. I will never break my word, great mother, she whispered. That night, she told Obiora everything. He looked very worried. The gods do not give without taking, he said. You must be careful. But soon after, Ekema's belly began to grow. The whole village celebrated, singing songs and dancing. For the first time, Ekema felt joy. But deep in the forest, Allah watched quietly, waiting for the day the promise must be kept. Months passed, and Ekema's belly grew bigger and bigger. Every morning, the women of the village came to greet her. They rubbed her stomach and sang songs, saying, Ekenma, your womb has opened. The earth has answered. The child of promise grows inside you. Ekenma felt proud and happy. At night, she and Obiora would sit under the moonlight, dreaming of what their child would look like. Perhaps he'll be strong like you, Ekenma said, smiling. Or maybe she'll be wise like you, Obiora replied. But sometimes, when Ekenma lay down to sleep, she remembered Allah's words. Your promise is a chain that cannot be broken. Fear would crawl into her heart, but she quickly pushed it away. Finally, the day of birth came. The midwives gathered in her huts. They sang and prayed as Ekema cried out in pain. After many hours, the sound of a baby's first cry filled the earth. It is a girl, the midwife shouted, holding the baby high. Ekema wept tears of joy. She named her daughter Adanna, which means father's daughter, as a way to honor both Obiora and the gods. Adanna was a beautiful child. Her skin shone like bronze under the sun, and her eyes were bright, as if they carried secrets from the spirit world. Everyone who saw her felt she was special. As Adanna grew, she became lively and curious. She loved to run through the fields, to chase butterflies, and to sit by Papokoro's side listening to stories. Papokoro often shook his head when he saw her. This child, he said, is no ordinary child. There is a mark of destiny on her. The villagers nodded in agreement. They called her the child of promise. But as Adanna grew up, strange things began to happen. When she sang, the birds of the forest would come and perch near her. When she laughed, the wind seemed to carry her joy all through the compound. And sometimes, when she was angry, the ground itself trembled lightly, as if warning everyone not to upset her. Ekemma watched her daughter with both pride and fear. She loved Adanna with all her heart, but deep inside, she remembered the promise. One night, when Adanna was already a young girl of 10, Ekemma dreamed again. Allah appeared to her and said, Remember, Ekemma, when your child turns 18, she will come to me. Do not forget your vow. Ekemma woke up in a cold sweat. She held her sleeping daughter close and whispered, I cannot give you away. You're my joy, my life. How can a mother release her child to the gods? But far away in the shadows, Allah was watching, and the earth goddess does not forget. Years passed quickly. Adanna grew from a playful little girl into a tall, graceful young woman. Her laughter still lit up the village, and her songs still drew the birds from the tree. People often said, This one was touched by the gods. She carries something greater than us all. Adanna was very kind, but also brave. She helped her father in the farm, carried water with her mother, and played with the younger children in the village square. Everyone loved her. But Ekema's heart grew heavier each year. She remembered the promise she has made at Allah's shrine. The closer Adanna came to 18, the more Ekema's fear grew. One evening, when the sun was setting and the sky turned red and gold, Ekema and Obiora sat outside their huts. Adanna was weaving a mat beside them. Obiora spoke first. My wife, you have been restless. What troubles you? Ekema looked at her daughter, then at her husband. Her voice was low. The time is near. When she turns 18, the goddess will come to claim her. Obiora sighed deeply. He had tried to forget the promise, but now the truth stood before them. Do you regret the vow you made? He asked. Tears filled Ekenma's eyes. How can I give up the child that I carried? The child I prayed for? My heart says no, Obiora. I cannot let Allah take her. Obiora was silent for a long time. Finally, he said, if you break your word to the gods, the price may be too heavy. Be careful, Ekenma. Meanwhile, strange things began to happen around Adanna. One night, she was walking home from the river with other young girls. Suddenly, the moonlight seemed to shine brighter on her alone, making her glow like silver. The other girls gasped and whispered, she is not like us. She belongs to the spirits. Another time, when a storm threatened the village, Adanna stood outside and raised her hands. The thunder grew softer and the rain slowed as if obeying her. The villagers bowed their heads in respect, murmuring, this is the goddess child. Apokoro, the wise elder, also noticed. One afternoon, he called Adanna to his side. His voice was weak but steady. Child, he said, do you know who you are? Adanna frowned. I am Adanna, daughter of Obiora and Ekenma. Papokoro shook his head. Yes, but you are more. Your mother made a promise before you were born. You are marked for the goddess Allah. When the time comes, you must go. Adanna's eyes widened. Leave my family? Leave my mother and father. Why? Because a promise to the gods cannot be broken, the old man said. To break it is to invite a curse. Adanna sat quietly, her heart troubled. That night, she asked her mother, Mama, is it true? Did you promise me to Allah? Ekema's face grew pale. She held her daughter's hand tightly. My child, you are mine. I begged the goddess for you. Yes, but I will never let her take you. You belong here with us. Adanna wanted to believe her mother, but Papokoro's words echoed in her mind. She could not sleep. As Adanna's 18th birthday drew closer, the wind seemed stronger, the trees seemed to whisper more often, and the shrine deep in the forest seemed to hum with unseen power. The goddess was waiting, and the promise was almost due. The day everyone has been waiting for finally came, Adanna's 18th birthday. The village square was full of music, drums, and laughter. Young men and women danced in circles while the elders clapped and nodded. Adanna was the center of it all. Dressed in a new wrapper with beads shining around her neck and wrists, she looked like a princess. But while others celebrated, Ekema's heart was heavy. She remembered Allah's warning. When the child turns 18, she will come to me. That night, when the moon was high and the village had grown quiet, the air suddenly became still. Not even the crickets chirped. A cold wind blew across the compound. Then a glowing figure appeared at the edge of the forest. Allah, the goddess of fertility. Her eyes glowed like fireflies and her voice roared like thunder and soft rain mixed together. Ekenma, Allah said, the time has come. The child you asked for has reached her 18th year. Bring her to me. Adanna froze in fear. She looked at her mother with wide eyes. Obiora stood silently, gripping his staff tightly. But Ekenma stepped forward, shaking her head. Her voice trembled, but it was strong. No, you cannot take her. She is my daughter, my only child. I carried her for 9 months. I nursed her. I raised her. She is mine, not yours. The goddess' glowing eyes narrowed. Ekenma, do you forget? You begged me for this child and you promised she would serve me. A promise to the gods cannot be broken. Tears rolled down Ekenma's cheeks. She held Adanna close. I don't care. I will not give her to you. Let the promise be broken. She will stay here with me. The ground shook under their feet. The trees bent as if bowing in fear. The goddess' voice grew louder. You dare break your vow? You dare insult the gods? Allah thundered. Then hear this. From this night onward, your joy will turn into sorrow. Your womb will never again know peace. And the child you cling to will bring you more pain than you can bear. Adanna cried out, No, great mother, do not curse my mother. But her voice was swallowed by the roaring wind. The goddess raised her hand, and a dark mist spread through the compound. Chickens quacked, goats cried, and even the fire in the hearth went out. The village woke in confusion, rushing out to see what was happening. They saw Ekenma kneeling, clutching her daughter, while the goddess disappeared into the forest. The villagers whispered among themselves, She refused the goddess. She has brought a curse upon us. No one breaks a promise to the gods and escapes. From that night on, things began to change. Crops that once grew tall and green began to wither. Rain stopped falling at the right time. Children fell sick more often, and strange shadows moved at the edge of the forest. And in the center of it all was Ekenma, the woman who had broken her promise. Her heart ached with guilt, but she also clung stubbornly to her choice. She whispered to herself, I would rather suffer than lose my child. She is mine, but the curse had only just begun. From that night on, life in the village grew harder. The rains came late, the sun burned too hot, and the crops bent and died before they could grow. Hunger spread. People whispered whenever Ekenma walked by. She brought this curse, they said. Her pride has angered the goddess. Adanna, though innocent, also felt the sting of their eyes. Children no longer played with her. Mothers pulled their sons and daughters away from her path. She sat alone, clutching the beads around her neck, wishing things could go back to before her 18th birthday. Obiora tried to be strong, but even he grew weary. Ekenma, he said one night, perhaps we should have obeyed Allah. Now the whole village suffers. Ekenma's heart was shattered. She loved her daughter deeply, but she also saw the pain around her. She knelt in the middle of her compound, lifted her face to the sky, and cried, Great Mother Allah, forgive me. I am only a mother who loves her child. Tell me what to do to make this right. The wind stirred, and for the first time since the curse, Allah's voice came softly, like rain falling on dry ground. Ekenma promises to the gods are not toys. A vow is a seed. If cared for, it grows into blessings. If broken, it grows into thorns. But I have seen your tears. The curse will not last forever. Still, your daughter must learn that her life is not hers alone. She must use it to serve others. Then the night became still again. From that day, Adanna chose a new path. She went into the forest to gather herbs, healing the sick children of the village. She carried water for the old, shared her food with the hungry, and spoke kindly to everyone who rejected her. Slowly, the hearts of the villagers softened. Seasons passed and the land began to heal. Crops grew tall again, and laughter returned to the village square. Ekenma, though scarred by sorrow, smiled through her tears. She had kept her daughter, but she had also learned that love must be joined with wisdom. And Adanna, now wiser than her years, grew into a woman who carried light into every dark place.